Hey everyone, I'm your host Leron Young, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About It. Today we're going to talk about a very controversial topic, abortion. Alabama's governor recently signed the nation's most restrictive abortion ban into law. This started an uproar in a movement known as You Know Me. The law has been a very major problem regarding people's views on the matter across the country, and that's what we're going to discuss today. But before we get into the discussion, I want you guys to meet our featured guest for today.
I am Tyler Jacobs, and I am a theater major at Rowan, and I pretty much do a little bit of everything in the theater department, recently I was in a production of Hamlet, and next semester I'll be in the host of the party in the lab theater.
I am Mike McIntyre. I'm a senior here at Rowan, and I help stream the Rowan athletic events.
My name's Christiana Rango. I'm a junior, and I play lacrosse here at Rowan.
So to start off the conversation, I'd love to hear about what you think about the new Alabama law, and if you've heard about the You Know Me movement.
I haven't heard of the You Know Me movement, but all I can say about the Alabama law is that it's completely reprehensible. I feel like there's no other way to address it, and it's completely put in place to strip women of their reproductive freedom.
So for me personally, as someone who is pro-life, I somewhat agree with it, just because I think it's to take out like the doctor being the middleman, like the person who actually performs like the procedures. I would get rid, I feel like taking away that part of it limits the amount of abortions that are happening. And as someone like I said is pro-life, like that should be the main goal, because I'm against them. So.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with it. About the whole them going to jail for life or whatever. We view murder as something that you go to jail for life, and being pro-life, abortion is murdering a child, so it makes sense to me.
Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my thing about the pro-life movement is that they want to say that they're all about preserving these lives and these children, but what programs are these officials who say they're pro-life are doing to actually help the women and the children who are actually going through with their births? Instead of because there are women who are not financially stable, who cannot support a child, but then the government is saying you either have the child or go to prison, but they don't do anything to support and help them. So if they were really caring about lives, they would actually do something to support those children and those mothers who are struggling.
Okay, so thank you all for sharing your thoughts and stances, but now we're going to take a look at some of the things that the average Rowan student had to say about the topic.
A new survey found that students at four-year colleges are more supportive of abortion rights than the general public. The majority of college students, 78%, believe abortion should be legal in all or most cases, while 22% say abortion should be illegal in all or most cases. We polled the students of Rowan to find out if this was the case here.
So, would you consider yourself to be pro-life, pro-choice, or somewhere in the middle?
Pro-choice.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I think I understand both sides, and I'm trying to figure out more information before I make a firm decision on what I truly believe.
I would say pro-choice.
Probably somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I think it should be up to the circumstance. I know that there's a lot of medical issues with people who get abortions very frequently, and I think that is something that should be kind of weaned away from. But there's sometimes where people just flat out don't have the option, and I do think people deserve the choice.
I am pro-choice.
I'm more pro-choice, but I think I linger in the middle, but I lean towards pro-choice.
And why do you feel that way?
I think no matter how anyone feels, you should still have that choice, because someone out there might want to be able to do that and the safety, and they should be allowed to be free to do that, even if you might not agree with their reasoning.
I feel like each side has different reasons to be like valid. You'll get to look at all the different sources to like kind of make a decision, and I feel like they both have like decent like opinions and values. So I feel like for me, I value more of the pro-choice stuff, but they both have good reasons. So.
Because I don't think that I should make decisions for other women.
I feel like everybody should have their own like opinion on what they want to do. It's their body. You do what you want with your body.
So what did you guys think about what your peers had to say about this?
It was kind of difficult to hear, and like actually physically hear. I mean, I completely agree with pro-choice, and regardless of if you feel whether or not a person should have an abortion, you should, I feel like, agree with the fact that a person should have the right to choose what they do with their body. And ultimately, you're having a lot of situations where you're having men in power write these bills about women's bodies that they know nothing about. I mean, Donald Trump just had a meeting where it was like 40 men discussing women's reproductive freedom.
I think they contradict themselves. They're all about pro-choice, but who doesn't have a choice? The baby, like pro-choice, but the only person making the choice is the girl, like the woman and the people making the laws. But the baby who's innocent and did nothing wrong doesn't have the choice, so they don't get to have a life.
Yeah. My beliefs align with that too. So I see like the group of cells, whatever, as a potential life, and if you allow that just group of cells to go through its natural processes and stuff, it eventually will become a sustainable life. And just giving people the freedom to murder that potential life, to me, I just can't get past that.
Okay, so before we continue the discussion, we're gonna go to a short break, but stay tuned because we'll be right back.
Another busy afternoon at Rowan University. Crossing the street can be a challenge at Rowan, so let's make sure you know how to cross the street safely. Cars should stop for you, but please look both ways and be alert. Many of Rowan's crosswalks have a button you can press to alert drivers when you are crossing. Only walk when the light across the street indicates you can. Practice these safety tips and you'll be a pro at crossing any Rowan street.
Welcome back to the show where I'm joined by Mike, Christiana, and TJ. So I wanted to ask you guys a question. At what point in the pregnancy process do you think human life is formed, and does that opinion impact your stance?
So for me, I think it's early on in the trimester. So like as someone who was, like I went to Catholic school most of my life, Catholic high school, I was always taught that life begins at conception. So like that's where like my thought stems from. So again, like I know there's certain laws out there that like prohibit late-term abortions, which I'm for that. But I just think it should be all together, just because, like I said earlier, that is still potential life in there, and it's just a matter of agreeing on when that potential life becomes life.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question, please?
When do you think life it's a life?
Yeah, at what point?
As soon as the sperm meets the egg, it's a life. It's a potential life.
I mean, sure, it's a potential life, but what do you do about the person who's actually, their body's being inhabited? You know, why are you going to send that person to jail over removing something from their body that possibly doesn't even have a heartbeat? And, you know, they say that's the whole heartbeat law, but it's actually just pulsations of the neurons. And, like, of course, if there's a fully formed child, yeah, I think at that point, it is ridiculous to abort that child, but majority of abortions that are had are not in that late trimester, and a lot of the pro-life movements try to aim it saying that it is, when in reality it's not. And majority of those come within the first weeks when a woman finds out that she is pregnant.
But let's not play dumb. We know what it takes to make a baby. Like, you laid down, you did it. And unless rape, which I understand that's a gray area, you know what it takes to make a baby. There's so many contraceptives, birth control. So like,
But what happens when that fails? You think that a woman should be forced to have the child and
you
go to
think that a
prison if
woman
she
should
shouldn't?
murder a child because her birth control didn't work? It sucks that the birth control didn't work, but you're gonna murder a baby because of a mistake.
And
Like,
you're going to force that woman further into circumstances that she possibly
You're not
can't
forcing
handle?
her. She laid down and she did it. She had sex. We know what it takes to make a baby. And I'm a female. I know what it takes to make a baby. It's selfish of me to say, well, I had sex, but I got pregnant. I'm going to just kill it. I don't want to have a baby. I'm too young. I don't have this. You're taking that choice away from the baby. Like, they did nothing wrong. I laid down and had sex. I got pregnant. You're going to kill the baby now because of what I did?
Okay, well, thank you for your responses. I appreciate your answers for the tougher question. Now, though, I'd like to show you guys a video about a group of pro-life activists and what they're doing down in Texas. Let's check it out.
More than 100 anti-abortion activists came out to protest the opening of Whole Woman's Health Abortion Clinic. The Texas-based clinic is set to open in the coming weeks after a federal judge ruled they could temporarily operate without a license.
On behalf of Texas, I'm sorry that y'all are having to take our trash out.
Several people spoke at the protest, most notably Indiana's Attorney General Curtis Hill, who is leading the legal battle against the abortion clinic.
How anyone can determine that having a clinic of this nature, where you use chemicals to abort a child, could not impose some type of dangerous concern for a woman's health is beyond me.
Hill criticized the federal judge's decision, saying it circumvents Indiana's law. He acknowledges that abortion is legal, but says he will fight for life.
While I'm defending this law, I am pro-life. I believe in life.
Criticism was also lobbed at Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who has supported the clinic's opening.
Mayor Pete, who, LGBT, always decrying discrimination, right? So how do you decry discrimination on one hand, but then support the most violent form of it on the other hand?
The crowd then moved outside, standing along the road in front of the clinic, holding up their signs denouncing abortion as murder.
When there are protesters out in front of the clinic that are shouting, that holding graphic signs, they claim to be, to care about women's health.
Spokesperson for the clinic, Sharon Lau, says the abortion protesters don't help women who are already making a tough decision.
When we see patients come into the clinic, when they have to walk through a gauntlet of protesters, they can have elevated pulse, blood pressure.
The protesters say they will continue to stand outside until the clinic is no more.
Okay, so do any of you guys want to comment on the video?
I think it's ridiculous to try to prohibit a women's health clinic, and I think that a lot of like organizations like Planned Parenthood and those facilities are referred to as abortion clinics, when in reality they're there for women's medical health and preventative measures. And like with Planned Parenthood, for example, like majority of their funding and everything doesn't go to abortions. It goes towards other preventative measures and women's health science and actually helping people stay healthy.
So for me, I understand that like Planned Parenthood does a lot more than just abortions. So like I'm always a fan of I think women also have the right to put up the child for adoption. I know that may be hard in certain cases, but the option's there to not have an abortion. But in terms of protesting the clinics, I think that they still do a lot of good, regardless of the fact that they do perform abortions. So I'm not too much on board with protesting them and prohibiting them from doing what they need to do.
Okay. Okay, everyone, I want to thank you all for being here for today's episode of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Lee Young, and have a great day.